Hello everyone, I'm Yvonne, a children's librarian here at the Manchester City Library, and welcome to Elementary Experiments. Here we do experiments and activities aimed at elementary grades 1 through 6 with a focus on STEAM, or science, technology, engineering, art, or math. This fall we are changing up our dates. So we are going to have in-person events at 3:30 p.m. on the second Wednesday and the fourth Tuesday of the month. We will be putting up our videos at the same time as our in-person experiments, which again is a little different than how we normally do it during the school year. But if you want to join us in person next time, please visit our website to register. Remember, in-person attendance will also guarantee you a kit to make our craft with. Although any extra crafts will be available at the Children's Reference Desk for anyone's grade 1 through 6 who wants to make them at home, possibly following along with our videos. Now that we've got all of that covered, let's get into this week's elementary experiments. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's elementary experiments, where we are going to be talking a little bit about anatomy. For this one, we are focusing specifically on the heart and lungs and learning a couple of cool things about them, although there's always more to learn. So remember to check out our Manchester City Library catalog for more books on the topic, and I will have some suggestions at the end of this video. But first, let's get together what we need to do for our activity. So for our activity, if you're doing this at home, you're definitely going to need some adult help for the prep work or the things we need to do before we do the experiment. So we have 3 different water bottles and we have 2 caps. One we have drilled 2 holes in, and then the other one we have 1 hole in. This is where you definitely want to get some adult help. You want the holes to be big enough that you can put straws through them, right? Mine's a little bit of a twist, but you want to be able to put a straw through the hole. And then you might also want to have some Play-Doh or like some clay, just to make sure that there is no air getting in between when you put the straw in, but we will get there. So once you have your adults help you to make sure that you put the holes in your lids safely, we are going to get our water bottles. The third one does not need a lid, so we don't have to worry about that. The first 2, we are going to put some water in, and then we are going to use some food coloring, first of all, because food coloring is fun. And second of all, it's going to help us be able to see the water transfer better, because we are actually modeling the anatomy of a heart, or at least part of the heart. We are going to be looking into heart valves and a little bit about some of the chambers of the heart. In an actual heart inside of our body, our heart has 4 different chambers. We've kind of combined some chambers together. So we have put the top 2 chambers, or the atriums, are going to be this bottle over here. And then the bottom 2 chambers are the ventricles, which we're going to represent by our middle bottle. And then this last bottle is the rest of our body. So we want this first one here, the atrium, is to be the one that has 1 hole in our cap, and then the ventricles are the one with 2 holes. And I am going to add our food coloring. Remember, as always, food coloring will stain, so make sure that you have a protected surface and you're not wearing clothing that you might be upset about if they got stains on them. This should not be a very messy experiment, but accidents do happen. So a suggestion is to use just red food coloring because our blood is red. I'm actually going to try having yellow and blue food coloring just so that we can sort of see how the water flows from one to the other. Hopefully a little bit better. It's an experiment, so we'll see. So we have our 4 bendy straws, and we are going to make our 4 bendy straws into 2 different bridges, right? So this is a little bit tricky. We're gonna have to take one and sort of pinch it so that we can fit it into the opening of the other one, like this. And then we are going to take some tape and we're gonna wrap it around where they join. So we're going to try and seal that so we're not going to have any air or water escape. When I tested this out before, there was still some water leakage, which is why I want to make sure that we have a safe place to experiment on just in case we get some food coloring on the table. Okay, and then do the same thing with your other 2 straws. Okay, now we are going to, I think it would be easiest if we put our lids onto our bottles and then we will add in our straws. So remember we've got our lid with our 2 holes in the middle and then our lid with our 1 hole on one end, and then we have our empty bottle with no lid. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our straws and we're going to connect. Okay, and then we're going to take our second. So our chambers, our top chambers, our atrium, holds blood that returns from the body to the heart. And then our ventricles is what squeezes our heart and pumps blood throughout our system. And there's also something else that's very important, and that is our valve. The valves are part of the heart or part of other systems that can open and close to either let water or blood or anything else flow through, or will close and therefore block the flow. So in our model, our fingers are going to be our valves. So what we're going to start out doing is we are going to pinch the straw that is going between our atrium and our ventricles. And we are going to go ahead and squeeze our ventricles. And we'll see that the blood from the heart is pumped into the rest of our body. Now I'm going to release this. So we'll open up this valve and I'm going to go ahead and let go of our middle chamber here. And that's going to be, let me see if I can let you guys see this. All right, so we've got our pressure here. We're gonna release. So it pulls in, and we see it's actually pulling in air from this side of the body. So if we use our valves again, so we're going to repeat what we did before, and we're going to pinch here, and we're going to squeeze the middle bottle so we get blood through to our body, and then we are going to then our valves are going to switch. This is easier if you have a partner, but I'm going to switch my valves here. And then when we release the chamber here, and then the blood flows from this to this side here. I'm giving it a little bit of help, honestly. My poor middle bottle is not thinking back out. So our ventricles pump blood into our body, and then as it re-expands, it pulls blood from the atrium into the ventricles. And then you can see how our middle bottle has started turning green. And then it pumps again and then pushes the blood through to the body. And then that cycle repeats. Obviously, if this were a heart, we would have, or like if this was a heart that was locked into an entire system, then we would have another straw that came from the rest of the body into here so that the cycle could continue more or less forever in a closed system. Eventually, in our model, though we can play with it a little bit more, we'll end up with all of the water in our body and we will run out of where our straws can reach. So I encourage you guys to experiment with it a little bit more. Think about how you would maybe do your own model of a heart. Do you think that you could involve the entire circulatory system? Or do you think that you could think of a better way to make a heart? That would be a very fun exercise to try and do. But this is where I'm going to leave you with just the basic setup for you to explore on your own. We do still have the crafts, so I'm going to get the items together that we need for that, and then I will meet you back here. So for our craft, we are looking into the respiratory system. And so we are going to build a model lung. Just one lung, because that's all we really have room for in our small bottles. But it will give you a good idea of how our lungs work, which is really quite interesting. So here I have a model that we're going to be building. So if you have our kit, then you will just need to get some scissors and some tape. In our kit, we have our instructions. We have a half of a water bottle. Now, if you are gathering your own supplies at home and you have something that's more like a Gatorade bottle, something that has a thicker plastic sides, you might want to use that. If you are using a water bottle like the ones in our kits, then you are going to want a thin cardboard strip as well. And that is because we have to make our bottle stronger. So in our model, we have the balloon inside the bottle, which is our lungs connected to our esophagus and eventually our mouth or nose. Here we have the plastic bottle, which is our ribs and sort of the space that our ribs protect to give our lungs space to expand. And then down here, this second balloon is our diaphragm, which actually is a very important part of breathing that we often don't really think about. But this experiment is going to show why it is so important. So let's get us to this step. All right, so we have our bottle here. What we're going to do is we're going to take our cardboard strip and we're going to give it into like a light circle. And we're going to insert it into our plastic. And then we're going to expand it. This one you might also want to get a little bit of help for because we want to kind of put pressure on the circle so it is expanding as much as possible. And then we are going to want to tape over where the edges overlap. So right here, you see where the edges overlap. As we kind of pull against the bottle, we're going to want to tape that. This is why, again, it can be helpful to have a partner, but you can do it by yourself if that is what you have, if you just have you. Okay, so we got this. And we're going to tape that. I'm going to tape it around to attach it. And so what we're doing here is we're just strengthening the plastic. Since this is a pretty thin plastic, we're using the cardboard to push out against the plastic. So when we put our balloon around the bottom, the plastic won't just collapse into on itself, but the cardboard and the plastic working together will work against the tension of the balloon and make our experiment work. This might not last forever, but hopefully it'll at least allow us to get a little bit of experimentation in. Okay, so once we have that ready, we are going to take our balloon here, and this is going to be my lung. We have 2 balloons. It doesn't matter which one you choose to be the lung and which one the diaphragm. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lung into my ribs, and then we're going to have to take the opening and we're going to have to stretch it so that it goes over the mouth here and leaves this hole open. Okay, again, if you need to get some help, that's totally fine. We love teamwork in elementary experiments. Okay, then our diaphragm, we're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to tie a knot in the end. Here we go. And then we are going to carefully cut off the end of the balloon. So we don't want to cut too much off, but we also want enough so that when we stretch our balloon over the end of our cut off water bottle, that we won't break the balloon. So definitely not more than half. We want a little bit less than half of the balloon that we cut off. Hopefully that will be a good amount. Okay, again, good to do with your partner, but if you don't have someone to help you, we can do it by ourselves. We're going to want to take the balloon that is going to be our diaphragm and take the cup part, and we're going to stretch it and cover it so that it's kind of flat. Oops, stretch it over. Okay, here we are. And now we're going to test by pulling on our diaphragm, and we're going to see what happens to our lungs. Now would be a good time to do any, make any hypothesis that you want. So a hypothesis, oops, I need to fix this. Didn't get it on well enough. But a hypothesis is what you think is going to happen, right? So if you want to guess on what you think is going to happen, my goodness, and then maybe also why you think that's going to happen, now would be the time while I fix my diaphragm. Right, I think I got it now. Okay, let's see what happens. We're going to pull, and we see that the balloon inside our lung inflates. So what is happening is when we breathe in, our diaphragm underneath our lungs pulls back, and that allows our lung to inflate, right? So what's happening is the diaphragm moving and allowing more space inside of our chest cavity is actually changing the air pressure inside of our body and allowing the lung to inflate. Because there is less air pressure inside of the chest cavity when the diaphragm expands, it means that the lung inside, because there is then more air pressure coming in from the outside, it will expand inside of the chest cavity and allows us to breathe. So if our chest cavity is not able to maintain its own atmosphere, then our lungs cannot inflate. And the same way, if our diaphragm, if for some reason is unable to move, then our lungs cannot inflate. So it's not just like breathing in through your mouth that's important, but the whole system works together to keep us breathing. The same way in our heart model, all of the different valves and chambers have to work together to pump blood throughout our system. So I hope that you guys enjoyed making our model lung today. I would say that there is a lot more that you can experiment with and model with this model. Like, think about if you have a cold, if you have like congestion in your lungs, how would you model congested lungs with what we have here? Like, what does coughing look like? If you wanted to say that the person whose lung this is coughing, how would you show that on the model? These are just some fun things to think about. Thank you all for joining me this Wednesday for this week's elementary experiments. I want to remind everyone that we are holding these in person at the Manchester City Library the same time that these videos come out. So if you are able, you can definitely go to our website and sign up for our next elementary experiments. Our next elementary experiments will be on a Tuesday on October 24th. But then our first November elementary experiments will again be on the second Wednesday of the month. So hopefully you guys are getting used to this new schedule and enjoy it. Let us know if that's the case. And please register at the Manchester City Library if you want to come and do these crafts and activities with us in person. Also, if you're not able to go in person, but you are in the correct age range and you are nearby, you can drop in and pick up our craft kit, which this week would have been the things, or almost all of the things you need for our lung model. In any case, I hope that you enjoyed, even if you were just watching along, and that you maybe learned a little bit of something. I will have a few book recommendations that you can pick up at the Manchester City Library if you want to learn more about the human anatomy and the respiratory and circulatory system. So look for those books and others in our catalog. And also our sneak peek on our next elementary experiments theme. All right, until then, bye.